welcome back to the ITSAN YouTube channel video podcast. Today we are with Briana Banos. She is, hi Bri. She is, we're all celebrating the 3-year anniversary of her amazing documentary, Preventable, Protecting Your Largest Organ. And this is also the 7th year of Bri's TSW journey. So we'll be discussing that a little bit too. So I just want to welcome Bri. I'm so thankful for you to be here. You are an amazing advocate for this community, and you've done so much, and you continue to do so much, and we are just thankful for you.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here. So let's start off. I mean, I definitely want to talk about the documentary because, I think it has changed people's lives, and I think it will continue to do that. But I want to just talk a little bit first about before the documentary and what life was like for you before TSW and how you ended up in this spot.
So I think anybody in TSW will say their life was very different before all this happened. I was working for a cruise company as a performer. So I was doing dance and aerial shows and everything. I had met my ex-husband doing all of that. We got married. I had just gotten my personal trainer certification, everything. We were going to move so I could work at this gym and audition and do all this stuff. And my skin was not doing well. And then lo and behold, after much confusion and trying to figure out and puzzle piece why my skin, what it was the way it was, it ended up being because of the topical steroids. And I believe it was the day that we moved into our apartment as newlyweds. We were only married for 4 months, not even, about 4 months. And the day that we moved into our new apartment was the day that I stopped using steroids. And that it has been a roller coaster since that January 25th of 2015. Going from being a performer, being married, being someone who was always productive doing things, to losing what I thought was my identity. I used to have very long hair like I do now. It was falling out. I couldn't do my career. I had to stay home. Then later on, I ended up losing my marriage. Everything, it was like going through, okay, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E. What plan? No plan. It was a ride before and during shooting Preventable. TSW really tosses your life around. So
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, every person that I come across has a story because it really just turns your life completely upside down. Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
oh,
When people enter the support groups, I always say, like, I'm glad you're here. I'm sorry you're here, but I'm also glad you found us. So you decided to create this documentary while you were, how far into TSW were you at the time?
I was, when I started the website, started fundraising and everything, I was only a year and a half in. And then once I was shooting the actual documentary out, flying around, I was just at that 2.5 year mark.
Wow. So how do you think that affected your TSW journey at that time? Like, was it a distraction? Was it a positive? Was it a negative? How did it affect your life?
I feel like it came at an opportune moment where my life was falling apart. And I think as a creative, I love to write and everything. And I believe there's a quote that says, you write or you create when either you're falling in love or you're falling apart. And I was falling apart. And instead of focusing all my energy on everything that I felt was falling apart around me, I focused it on the documentary. And I think that's why I was able to wear so many hats and so many titles, because I used it all as a way to, I guess, cope with what was happening.
Right.
And I felt like, okay, this is a good way right now because I need to channel all of this. A documentary has not been made. I didn't know if there ever would be one because I know I was having a heck of a time trying to make it. I really just channeled everything, all of it, into the managing, the fundraising, the getting all the flights, the getting all the hotel rooms, to talking and finding all the different families that were going to take me in, to all the different doctors that were going to talk to me, to actually flying and doing it, which was, oh my gosh, it was the biggest blessing ever in my life. Like, I'll be, whenever, to the day I die, it will be one of the greatest things I will ever have accomplished. But I also know it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, especially the editing process. I think I could have thrown my computer out the window a couple of times trying to figure everything out.
Oh my
But
goodness.
what what a what a blessing it was just to make it and to really push myself through a time where I felt like I had lost everything, and that was my baby. That was my rebirth from all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Wow. So it was very cathartic for you at the same
Super.
time. So I don't know, maybe people can take advice from that. Obviously, not everyone can do what you did and put together this masterpiece of a documentary and travel all over the world. But there is something to be said about finding a purpose and finding, refocusing thoughts and different ways to refocus your energy, obviously.
Absolutely. Robin Roberts, she works on Good Morning America. She went through cancer and everything, and she wrote a book, and she always said, make your mess your message. And I really resonated with that. Of, I know we're going through a really tough time, but I feel like sometimes we're going through it for a reason, and I didn't want to be in so much pain and so much frustration without it meaning something, to just be in pain and not have anywhere to put that. I think it is really important for people to find a purpose, because if not, you're like, why do I even get out of bed in the morning? Like, what is the point?
Mhm.
So whether it's anything to do with TSW or not, use your voice for TSW. That would be amazing, because the more voices, the more ears it catches. But to just find that thing that you can do, because I know I was an active person. Personal fitness, dancing, aerial work, all of that was gone for a while, and I took to writing. And never thought really that this would be something that I would now really be pursuing, because I had all those other things that I had wanted to do. But I think TSW kind of pushes you to find that thing that maybe you really are passionate about and could be really good at, because of where you are in that present stage and moment. So I think it's important to really dig and find out what that purpose is while you're doing this, because it'll make the journey a lot easier on the mind.
So, what has been your silver lining, if you had to sum it up, if there is one?
I guess feeling like life is like, I can't, like, I'll definitely say TSW sucks. Like, I'm not gonna say, be like, yay, everyone should have TSW. But I
You
feel
can
like
learn so much about yourself.
I feel like life is more beautiful for people who have gone through things. So maybe it doesn't have to be just TSW, but people who go through really hard things that keep them in solitude that other people around them may never really understand. It's giving me a lot more joy to look at and to see things differently, like the simple things, to not take things for granted. Um, so I gotta say, even finding other people, I have some really great friends from TSW, going through this. I've met some incredible people that I never would have met. And I have thoughts now and feelings on certain topics that I don't think I would have had before. So I just feel a little more empathetic of a person. I'm much more self-aware of how my, actions towards people and things really do matter. So I guess TSW just gives you a perspective of the world that I may never have had if I hadn't gone through this.
That's beautiful. Like, I mean, that just wasn't one thing. That was many things. That was just so much. And that was beautiful. Like, just finding the beauty in your life every day. So I don't know, this wasn't something that we had planned to talk about, but there are so many mental health things that happen during TSW, because this is not just a skin issue. This is a systemic issue that affects your body temperature, your sleep schedule, your hair loss. I mean, this is everything.
A
It's
life.
not just physical. So this is completely turning someone's life upside down. So has that, how have you dealt with those types of things or issues?
No, that's a great question. And I'm glad you actually brought that up because I feel like it's a topic now. I think more people are talking about it. But I know this past year, I had three very big surgeries, one really massive surgery for my hip. And my health completely deteriorated during that time. And I also lost a few things during that time. I felt very lonely. My skin was almost as awful as it was in the first year or two. And after a while, my positivity wasn't going to cut it. Me trying to, be positive and be optimistic, like I needed help. So I actually have a therapist now that I see once a week through like telehealth. I think that's the one nice thing that came maybe out of COVID, like a little more, we can see people through our
Yeah,
screens
yeah.
instead of having to always leave the house. But I think it's so vital that if you need someone to talk to, don't wait until it's too late. And I say that for everybody involved in TSW, whether that's the person going through it, whether that's their partner, their spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whether that's parents going through it, having a hard time, because it affects every single person around that TSW person. So I think therapy for me has helped a lot to find ways to cope. I know I have a win jar now that I write everything that I did that day as a win because I have a really hard time. I guess my traumatic response to things is always have to be doing something or else I'm not doing enough. And my therapist was like, I think you need to realize that you do a lot and you're not realizing you're doing a lot. And it's actually detrimental to my health because I wasn't resting. I didn't have boundaries on, I would say yes to everything and want to do all this stuff, in spite of my TSW. And I needed to look at it differently. So I have a win jar that every night I write down wins. Like, did I do my red light therapy? Did I roll out my leg today? I shot my tea with brie, things like that, where she's like, those are big things that you should, say that's a win for you. So I think it's important that we do those things that remind us of why we're here. We are worthy of love. We are worthy of belonging. Because I know I was feeling very isolated for a while. after the surgery. So if you need anything, therapy, an ear, professionally, seek it out. I think it's a wonderful way to get through this instead of just trying to grind with your head down. So I
Right. Right.
I definitely think it's important.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's great advice, definitely. And ITSAN has those lists on the website as well, and you can always reach out. For anybody listening, you can always reach out to info@itsan.org, and we will put you in the right spot or get you emails or phone numbers that whatever you need. So yeah, no one should have to suffer alone or feel like they're isolated at all. So yeah, thank you for that, Bree. Um, so other pieces of advice that you might have for someone just starting this journey, and then maybe for people because you were in that spot one time, and then also for someone who may be, been in this, going through this for years, or who have had, setbacks or other things that might come up that might halt their healing.
Well, that means I can start off with us long haulers, as I call it. I know the longer in, it's more of a mental battle than a physical one. Yes, I still deal with physical stuff that can be very frustrating and very trying, but that starts the gears going in your mind of anger, of even like jealousy or envy towards other people in their lives. So I do think um, mental wise for long haulers, it's really important to have something that keeps you in check, to keep you on thinking of the gratitude, thinking of instead of the glass half empty, the glass half full type of things to try and keep you moving forward in a positive manner instead of sitting in a lot of negativity. I think that's important for long haulers. And for newbies, my biggest thing, and of course being 7 years in, I was super healthy before TSW, and I was fit and I had, what I consider to be a pretty healthy regimen. I was like, I'm gonna kick this in a year. I want to be good. Don't set an expectation because I guarantee you're gonna get crushed by the result of it not happening the way you thought it would. So that's number one. Number two, don't compare your journey to someone else's. We are all, I call us snowflakes, but I remember in college one day someone said we were all, was it Chick-fil-A waffle fries? There's no one that's alike. So don't think that your journey is going to be the same as someone else's. You could do the exact same thing every single day that this person did, and you might be completely different. So my advice is do what is best for you. There's a lot of opinions and a lot of different advice being given in the groups. It's a great place for support, but it's also a place sometimes of real confusion. And I think what's best is to read what your body's telling you and go with what your gut is telling you to do. So, no expectation, do the best you can with what you have in your present state.
Right. And taking it day by day, sometimes minute by minute.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, just, making it through. Okay, I made it through an hour. Let's take the next hour and then we'll deal with these symptoms in the next hour. So it's more like, I think the farther we will try to look and plan is where we kind of get messed up.
That's where the worry and that's again the spiraling effect happens.
I know, but it's human nature. So we get that. So as long as
I
we
do
can.
it all the time.
I do it all the time. I know, I've been there. Well, it's been so wonderful to talk to you. What can we expect from you in the future? What advocacy work are you working on now? And then tell us also how you think others, if they really wanted to get involved and help out and make their mark in this community, because we really do need it. So, what are you up to next?
Well, right now I'm actually doing a series on my YouTube called Tea with Bree. We are on, well, whenever this airs, this week we're doing week 9, and I'm only going to do 10 episodes. So I have 2 more left to do. And what's great about YouTube and social media now is like it'll always be there. So I have a ton of stuff on my YouTube since 3 months in. My first YouTube is of me shaving my head. So I love having that as a resource for people to have. But that's my most recent series, My Tea with Bree, which is basically me just talking about different topics, and advice coming out of my head, which again, I'm not a medical professional. It's just me putting my own thoughts out there and you coming to share the space with me.
Right, right.
And then, I mean, in the future, I mean, I hope to write a book. I hope, to maybe work with ITSAN and beside ITSAN more as we go on, because I think what you guys are doing is necessary and incredible. And you guys don't get enough credit for what you do for this community at all. And I think, in a way, that's what other people can do. If people are looking for ways to help, lend your voice to ITSAN, lend a hand volunteering for whatever needs to get done. I know you guys have some big stuff probably in the works that you need help. You need other people to disseminate, to head up little things, little projects. So I think reaching out to you guys, even just sharing your story with, first your inner circle, and then maybe making a post on your social media. I know that's so frightening sometimes for some people, and it's completely, a vulnerable state that you're in to do that. But I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to share, because I guarantee you, if you touch one person's life, that's the biggest thing that matters. Even if it's just one person, that will completely change their entire life. So
Yes.
whether
Oh,
it's a small thing or big thing, use your voice wherever you possibly can.
oh, those are words of wisdom. You have all these little gems of wisdom, Brie. It's true. I'm sure you've touched many lives, not just one. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you sitting down to talk to me. And yeah, hopefully I'll talk to you soon. And I'm looking forward to what else you might have next. So thank you. We'll talk to you soon.